Welcome to Hallowed Groundling and the monthly segment on the original Twilight Zone. I'm so excited for today's episode. I have a very special guest on with me today. But first, I'd like to let you know what's coming up. I also have a horror host show on YouTube called Hallowed Haunts, where my alter ego Elsa Rathbone and my darling husband, the slightly abominable Dr. Vincent Rathbone, host films of the macabre with our own wacky wraparound stories. Don't miss our February episode coming soon, Going Bat Circer, featuring the Vincent Price and Agnes Moorehead classic, The Bat. We drop a new episode every month. Please follow us on YouTube and on all of our socials under Hallowed Haunts. I will put all of the links in our show notes. I will be launching the segment on the podcast called Origin Stories very soon. Told through dramatized interviews, archival footage, and documentary narration, this segment digs into the origins of some of my favorite horror and thriller films. The subject of the first origin story is Night of the Living Dead. I'm also going to have an episode dedicated to the genius of George Romero with a very special guest, so stay tuned for that. Please remember to follow Hallowed Groundling on all social media, and please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps, and I appreciate it. At the recording of this opening, I've just learned of the passing of the great Catherine O'Hara. She was one of my acting heroes, one of the most fiercely brilliant actors there ever was. She will be missed so deeply. Rest in peace, you incredible goddess. And with that business taken care of, let's get on with the show. There is a segment beyond that which is known to man. It is a segment as vast as these airwaves and as timeless as the internet. It is the middle ground between fandom and social media, and it lies between the pit of dissection and the summit of obsession. It is an area which we call the TZ segment on Hallowed Groundling. Hello and welcome to Hallowed Groundling. This is the monthly segment on the original Twilight Zone where I will be breaking down one episode at a time, and today is the third episode of the first season, Mr. Denton on Doomsday. But first, I would like to introduce my special guest, Rachel Freitas. Rachel is a writer who has been published in the Stephen King zine, The Outsider, and the Dark Shadows magazine, Daytime Gothic. I'm thrilled to have you on the Twilight Zone segment to talk about Mr. Denton on Doomsday. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. So I've known you for a little while. I knew your sister before you, and then
hmm
as I met you, I found out you loved so many cool things that I love too. So of course we've bonded over that very much, and
Yeah,
and been on our dear friend Danny's podcast
yeah,
together on Terror at Collinwood. So you're a fan of a lot of fun supernatural shows, like Interview with the Vampire and Dark Shadows. And so when did you first watch The Twilight Zone? When did you get acquainted with it?
definitely. As a kid, the New Year's Eve Twilight Zone marathons on Sci-Fi was a tradition, and I still do it today. I'll stream my favorite episodes, but what I loved about being a kid and watching the marathon was, you were hoping for your favorite episode to come on, and you were just waiting. But
It's
while
like
you were
roulette.
waiting,
It was like roulette.
But like while you were waiting, you were seeing other cool episodes that you didn't know. And so it just became something that I do every year with my sister and my dad. And yeah, it was just really fun. And I grew up with horror. I was a horror kid and still am a horror kid today.
That's the best thing to be. A monster
Yeah.
kid is the absolute best thing to be in the world, in my
Yeah.
opinion, too. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, what are some of your favorite elements of the show? What are some things you love about Twilight Zone?
Sure. I think definitely how it like shines a magnifying glass on society and humanity. Like I think Monsters Are Due on Maple Street is just one of the best pieces of writing ever. And then, funnily enough, I like how the show sometimes portrays life as just being cruel. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just life. And so
Yeah,
I look at like Time Enough at Last. Like, did he deserve that ending? No, but is that life? Yes.
I
And
know.
I love sometimes that little just twist that just hurts a little bit, but it's so brilliant. And so I think
Yeah.
Twilight Zone does that better than anything else.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. My cousin and I on the last episode we were talking about Time Enough at Last, how it is the most unfair ending in the
Yes.
I think entire series. Basically, it's the most
Being a book
unfair.
lover, it's like, oh no.
Oh no, It's the worst thing ever. And and I didn't need glasses for years, but now as I'm getting older, I'm starting to need them, and I'm like, oh no, that would be the worst thing
Yeah.
ever. Oh,
Yeah.
to lose my glasses. And you mentioned Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, and I agree very much that that is one of the best pieces of writing. That one
Yeah.
is
And still
so,
so prevalent. And
yeah,
it's
it's
just so brilliant.
absolutely scary how relevant it is
Yeah, I
today
know.
too. All right, awesome. So I'm going to do a little bit of a highlight. I do every segment on the Twilight Zone. Tonight is for director Alan Reisner. So Alan Reisner was a very prolific TV director all the way through the 80s, including episodes of Gunsmoke, Hawaii Five-O, and Murder, She Wrote. He was born in New York in 1924. Reisner directed The Time Element for Desilu Playhouse. The Time Element was the original Twilight Zone pilot that Rod Serling sold to CBS. He also directed two episodes of Night Gallery, The Nature of the Enemy, and Brenda. So, yeah, Alan Reisner was like very important to Rod Serling. He was important to kind of how Twilight Zone came to be where it came to be because he was part of that original kind of push to put Rod's work out into the world. It's pretty cool how it ended up being there with them because the Time Element was bought by CVS and then shelved. So
Oh.
they basically like bought it and shelved it, didn't do anything with it. And then Rod's work became so popular that all of a sudden they were like, well, what other things do we have by him? And that was the thing that they had. And Desilu Playhouse really wanted to work with him. That was, of course, the Playhouse was owned by Desi Arnaz and
Right.
Lucille Ball. And they would, on that show, it was sort of like Playhouse 90, where they would do like two or three episodes that were sort of supernatural and kind of fun. And then they do a fun, like, couples fun episode with
Oh, fun.
Lucy and Desi, or Lucy and yeah, so they would do their whole thing together. So that was sort of the vibe of Desilu Playhouse. So they wanted to do one of his pieces, and Time Element was grabbed for that. And it had a lot of people in it actually as well that were some Twilight Zone people later on
Cool.
were actors and everything. So Alan Reisner, it was pretty cool that he came on to direct one of the first episodes of the first
Yeah.
season. So little shout out to Alan Reisner. We love him very much. So let me get started on the Mr. Denton on Doomsday facts. So I love to read the opening of the episode, Rod's
Yeah.
narration. So here we go. Portrait of a town drunk named Al Denton. This is a man who's begun his dying early, a long, agonizing route through a maze of bottles. Al Denton, who would probably give an arm or a part of his soul to have another chance, to be able to rise up and shake the dirt from his body and the bad dreams that infest his consciousness. Shot of Henry J. Fate. In the parlance of the times, this is a peddler, a rather fanciful looking little man in a black frock coat. A six gun materializes beside Denton. And this is the third principal character of our story. Its function, perhaps to give Mr. Al Denton his second chance. So,
So
I
good.
know, it's a great opening. This is such a great episode. I love it so much. All right, so this one premiered on October 16th, 1959. Directed, of course, by Alan Reisner. This was his only Twilight Zone episode. Written by Rod Serling, who wrote many of the first season episodes. This was Al Denton, was played by Dan Duryea, and this was his only Twilight Zone episode. Hodeling was played by the great Martin Landau, who was also Major Ivan Kuchenko in the fifth season episode The Jeopardy Room. Pete Grant was played by Doug McClure, and this was his only Twilight Zone episode. Henry J. Fate was played by Malcolm Atterbury, who also played Professor Elliot in the fourth season episode No Time Like the Past. Liz was played by Jean Cooper, was her only Twilight Zone episode. Charlie Ken was Ken Lynch, his only Twilight Zone episode. The leader was Arthur Badanitis, who has been in a lot of stuff. He was a great character actor. He plays Tabal in the third season episode The Mirror, the one with oh, I'm having a brain fart. Oh my God, Columbo. Peter
Oh,
Falk.
yes.
Peter Falk. I had a moment. I'm like, Peter. Yeah. So yeah, he was in that one with him. He was one of the gang members in the
Hmm.
Mirror. The Doctor is played by Robert Burton. It was his only TZ episode. The man in the episode was played by Bill Irwin, who was a wonderful character actor who lived up into his 90s, was in a ton of
Wow.
stuff. He was Peter Kramer in the second season episode, Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? And he was Man in the flashback in the fourth season episode, Mute. So Bill Irwin was like, for those of you who might not know who he was, I always think of him. He was a big John Hughes staple. So he was in the airport when Kevin's mom's trying to get home and Home Alone. They were the couple that she was trying to bribe the
Oh,
wife.
yes.
That was Billy Bird, and then he was the husband who was like, "She's got long dangly earrings." That's Bill
Yeah,
Irwin.
yeah.
So he was in a lot of John Hughes movies. John Hughes really liked him. He
Very
used him a
cool.
lot. So yeah, that's Bill Irwin. Yeah, he was in that one. And Arthur Benedict was a big character actor too. He was the thing I always remember him from more than anything else was he was in a lot of the Police Academy movies.
Hmm.
He played the family, like Colleen Camp's dad. Colleen
Okay.
Camp's character, it was her dad, who like the family beat each other up all the time. They were always like punching each other. So yeah, and he's so young in these. It's so funny because Danny and I have talked a lot about this. That like that you go back and you look and you see all of these amazing character
Yeah,
actors. You know,
definitely.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So, all right, so we're gonna get into some spoiler alerts for the rest of the episode. Like I said, if you're listening to this, you've probably watched episodes of The Twilight Zone. You probably know what's going to happen, but if you haven't, the statute of limitations maybe hasn't run out yet. So we'll see. All right, so number one, we see Al Denton stumble out of the bar. Al is played by Dan Derea. Dan Derea was a staple of TV, including many westerns where he played some of the worst villains. He also played Leo Hubbard in the Broadway production of The Little Foxes, as well as the film version. So, what did you think of Dan Derea in this episode as Al Denton? What were your thoughts on him?
It was probably my favorite performance of the episode. I think right away, I mean, you have the intro, so you have a little bit of his story,
Mhm.
but you don't have that backstory yet of the 16-year-old.
Yeah.
But yet you immediately feel empathy for him. This is like a guy who doesn't want to make any trouble. He doesn't want a big fuss. He wants to be respected. He wants to be felt human, and you just feel for him. And I feel like he's going along with kind of singing for his supper because again he doesn't want to draw any unwanted attention. He just
Yeah.
wants to like be in his corner and do his own thing. And I just thought right away I like knew what his character was, who he was. It was just a really layered character with a
Mhm.
lot of complexities, and I really enjoyed his portrayal.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you 100%. Honestly, like, we see that little bit of him before the opening is even read, where he stumbles out of the bar, and
Right.
we immediately feel empathy for him the minute
Yeah.
he starts to, because he's just so obviously he's being bullied, which is another whole thing, on top of it. We'll get into to him, but when he comes out, I just always immediately feel for him. Like it's
Yeah.
all in the writing and in the portrayal and how D'Andrea played him,
Yes.
where we care about him from the minute
Hmm.
we see him on screen.
Yeah, he's very
Yeah.
complex.
Absolutely. And we learn about these complexities as it goes on, but that initial it just says, I mean, you're a writer, it's that important of that first
Yep.
moment is the most important. That first impression we get of a character is some of the most important
Yes,
parts of it.
he was great.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. All right, so Denton is followed out by Hoteling, who pours liquor on him and teases him to sing How Dry I Am to get one more drink. Hoteling is played by Martin Landau, the Oscar-winning character actor of stage and screen. He had roles in Crimes and Misdemeanors, North by Northwest, and Ed Wood. What are your thoughts on his portrayal of Hoteling, the town bully?
It was an interesting character because it's not really a complex character. It's, a bully who likes to kick somebody when they're down, who likes to
Mm,
instigate
mhm,
fights. And, maybe that's the worst bully because we don't know his backstory.
mm,
Um, but
yeah.
he plays it very well. And I love that none of the other characters like him. Like nobody at the bar likes him either.
No,
Like,
don't.
why is he there surrounded by all these people who hate him?
The one that always gets me is when the bartender comes to the swinging back doors and he kicks the door and he goes like flying back, and you're like, man, that guy's gonna serve you drinks. You don't treat him like what's the matter with you?
Yeah. So I think, Martin Landau is a terrific actor. I mean,
Yeah.
Ed Wood alone is
Oh,
so good.
oh
So
God.
I thought he did the most with what was written. I also think that, the episode needed a villain and he was
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
And he was a great villain.
Yeah.
He did the most with what he was given. And yeah, he was fun to root against.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. I mean, Martin Landau is just, as you said, Ed Wood. That's probably my favorite thing he ever did. I mean,
Yeah,
I've always loved him in everything I've ever seen him in. But Ed Wood is just when he's Bela Lugosi, he's so
so
good. He's
good.
so good in that movie. He's just perfection, and the makeup was perfect. And I mean, that's one of my favorite movies of all
Yeah, me
time.
too.
Yeah, I mean, I love Ed Wood, the original, the man himself, and
Yeah,
that movie is just such a
so brilliant.
great representation. It's so funny and you care about everybody, and
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite Tim Burton movies. It
yes,
absolutely
me
is.
too.
Yeah, it's such a good one. And he's great. All right, so cool. And so now Henry J. Fate has witnessed all of this. A gun appears at Denton's side. He picks it up. Liz comes over and asks him about the gun. And we find out that Denton used to be very good with a gun, if I could speak today. During this interaction, Hoteling comes back out of the bar and tells him to sing the song, and he'll give him another drink. He does this despite Liz's plea that he doesn't have to, that she will give him a drink and he doesn't have to grovel. Hoteling sees the gun in Denton's hand and says that he will duel him using his left hand. Without aiming, Denton's gun fires off a shot, disarming Hoteling. Hoteling follows Denton into the bar where he threatens him again. Henry Fate steps to the saloon doors, and once again, without aiming, Denton fires another shot and disarms Hoteling. What do you think of this whole scene? I mean, like personally, I love this scene. Like, I love that back and forth, especially because you get to see that, that revenge sort of in that little
Yeah,
moment. I didn't bring too much about Liz. I really love Liz too. She's such a great character.
she's just so good in her heart.
Oh, she's so sweet. And you can, like, from that first moment, like, and I love when she says to him, like, you don't have to do this. Like,
Right.
I'll give you a drink. Like,
Yeah,
please don't. Because she feels so bad for him. And she's us. I feel like she's us in that
yeah,
scene. She's the audience. Like, she's
yeah.
representing us. And like, please don't do, you want to go, don't do it. Don't drink. Don't
Right,
sing the
right.
song. Don't embarrass yourself
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I love it. So what do you think of this scene as a whole with the gun and Fate doing his thing? What do you
Well, I
think?
love that the object that sent him into this spiral is also the thing that saves him, in
Mm,
conjunction with fate. I think that this scene is so satisfying because you don't expect, like, I didn't expect the chandelier to come down. And
yeah.
I've seen this episode, but it's been a while, so I didn't quite remember the specifics. And I think Denton would not have shot that gun if
Mm,
Fate hadn't did what he did. Because
yeah.
he apologizes every single time the gun goes off.
Yeah.
And like this scene has to happen so that the next standoff can happen.
Right.
It's a scene that moves the plot forward, and it's also just very satisfying, and it gives you an eye into Denton. And I really love that Fate is always watching, like through windows, through doors,
Hmm.
just waiting for the right moment. And this is probably one of my, or maybe my favorite scene with Fate, because it's really all in the portrayers acting in their face,
Yeah.
and you can see like, oh, he's doing something to make that gun go off,
Hmm.
and it's really really cool, and
Yeah.
it's
I
satisfying just to see Holtling just get his what he deserves.
His comeuppance. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. It's so true. I know that's the great part about it. You're right. Like seeing him hovering there is so great, and seeing him. And this is a question. I'll throw this little curveball at you. Do you think that Fate came to town specifically for Denton, or do you think he was just there to be there to peddle his
Oh,
wares? What do you think?
I like how later in the episode he says the night Fate came to town.
No, yeah,
And
the night Fate stepped in. Yeah, I
yeah,
love that. I
it's
know.
kind of, I like to think of it as Fate's just going through, stops, and is like, this situation needs taken care of. Let me do something about it. And
Yeah.
in this particular instance, in the Twilight Zone, Fate is a good thing.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
he's like the wind almost. Like
yeah,
he's
I like
blowing
how
where he's
he's like
blowing.
a peddler of everything, because
Hmm.
that's kind of what Fate is. Everything good, bad, in between.
Yep. Everything you need, everything you don't need.
Yeah, I like to
Yeah.
think he was just on his journey and then was like, oh, I think this situation I could help with, so let me do this.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know. I like to think of those little things as I watch the episodes, all these just interesting character motivate. That's just how you can tell. It's just
Because
it's written so well that you can do that.
he's there for Grant too, to save
Hmm.
Grant. So,
Hmm. Oh,
he's
absolutely.
killing two birds with the price of one.
I love it. All right, so Denton swears off drinking. He tells Liz how good he was at shooting, but it's what caused him to drink in the first place after shooting a young kid and leaving him to die. He then goes to get a shave, saying that he wants to look good when he dies. A major theme that runs through the Twilight Zone is second chances. Do you believe that second chances are not always a good thing?
I do believe that.
Yeah.
I've definitely had second chances in my life that have turned out good.
Hmm.
But that's not always the case. And I think Twilight Zone really shows that. We were talking about Time Enough at Last, and
Yeah.
he gets that second chance to read as many books as he wants. And then it's like, oh no, this isn't going to work out.
No.
And
And
it's
everyone in
true.
his life is horrible. Speaking of time enough at last, everyone, his boss is awful, his wife is awful. His wife is the,
Everybody's awful.
well, I laugh at this. This is something that's so funny that I'll bring up as we go along throughout the Twilight Zone, as I go through the segment and keep reviewing episodes, is that the wives, there are some awful wives on the Twilight Zone. I mean that's sort of because it's written in the time period where the harpy wife was sort of a thing, but
Yeah.
some of them are so brutal, and she's one of them. She's that. Every time I watch Time Enough at Last, when his wife goes, Henry, when she yells his name, and I'm like, oh God. So they've made them all like so terrible.
Yes.
And he has like this chance to live this second life where he can read all he wants and no
Yeah.
one's gonna bother him. He's got food, he's got smokes, he's got booze, he's got
Yeah,
everything
we
he
got
needs.
everything.
And then, yeah, it just,
Sometimes second chances are not what they seem to be.
yeah, I know. I mean, it's lovely that like I think that he has that quick pivot, that Denton has that quick pivot in this where he realizes, Charlie offers him a drink and he's like, "No, I don't want to drink." And I'm like, because he just realizes like in that moment, which is, that's a lovely thing about him, but he feels so sealed to his fate now that
Yeah.
he has a gun in his hand again, and when he says to her like, "I want to look good when I die," I'm like,
Right.
you just came back to like life from alcoholism. Like, you just
Like I, I,
pulling
I
yourself out
I
of the
think
pit.
he's a guy that believes in fate. And
Mm,
even if it's a bad fate, he believes like this is my destiny now.
yeah. Like he was staying away from it by drinking, and then now I've got it in my hand, and I just did this to totally, it's just a matter of time before more of them
Yep.
come down,
It's
come
coming
down the
for me.
pike. Yeah, he's like the non-funny version. I don't know if you've ever seen Blazing Saddles,
Yeah.
but Gene Wilder's character Jim in Blazing Saddles,
Yeah.
he's like the non-funny version of Jim,
Right.
who's he was basically like, great, now that I'm back up, it's gonna happen again. I'm gonna
Yeah. And
get
you just feel worse for him. You're like,
right.
oh, this poor guy.
Yeah, I know. He's great. All right, so cool. So we'll go in. So Denton gets challenged to a duel by a young gunslinger named Pete Grant. He practices shooting and finds that he can't hit the target. Denton decides to leave so he won't get killed. Denton sees Henry Fate on the street, who tells him that he shouldn't run away and offers him a potion that promises that it will make the user the fastest gun for just 10 seconds. He has him test it and tells him to draw on a lantern. He does, and it shatters. He tells him to take the potion just as Pete Grant walks into the saloon. Henry Fate is played by Malcolm Atterbury, who was another prolific character actor with roles in The Birds, I Was a Teenage Werewolf, and North by Northwest with Martin Landau. What do you think of what do you think of Malcolm Atterbury as Fate?
I thought he was perfect.
Yeah.
The way that fate is presented is not subtle. His name's Fate.
I know it's like bashing you over the head.
It's like, okay, this is fate. We get it. So I feel like he had to be very subtle and very
Mm,
mysterious, especially in the beginning scenes about what he was doing, what his actions were. I thought, he is a little older than the other characters, so that gives
mhm.
him like a wisdom type of layer on there. I also love that they keep mentioning his little coat and his little black hat.
Yeah.
And that's just a really cool little mention. Like Fate's just wearing regular clothes, he's
Yeah.
he's important, but he looks like all of you.
Yeah. You know what I love too is it was when I was reviewing the episode again for us today. I never really, you know, you sometimes you've seen something over and over, but sometimes you don't notice something.
Yeah.
And what was wonderful was I noticed this wonderful, he's actually peddling to people. He's actually like in the background. If you notice, he's actually like,
Oh,
he's not just standing there staring at Denton, like being creepy.
right.
He's like, he's actually like doing his thing. He's actually
Yeah.
peddling to people. So it's
Wondering
like
like what other fates are he?
right. Like who else is he affecting in the town? That was exactly, I was thinking
That's
that. I was,
amazing. I didn't
yeah.
notice that.
Yeah, it's just this little moment. It's like these little moments in the background, and then, of course, when he has that moment with Denton and tells him like, don't leave. Like, here's this, special potion, and you can
Yeah.
do your thing. And
He's rooting for Denton.
oh yeah, oh 100%. He's reading. I
Yeah.
think he figures like, I think that Denton kind of has suffered enough. Like that's what fate. He's had a hard time,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's the mat. Even though, like I said before, like, do you believe second chances are not always a good thing? When they are a good thing, we get stuff like where you can pivot and change your life, and a
This
lot of people
episode
do
was
that.
so hopeful.
Yeah,
It
100%.
it's great to see an occasional happy ending.
There are some
Yeah.
on there, because there's fun episodes of the show, and
Oh
and
yeah.
they're definite like they're definitely fun ones. But this one, yeah, it's got such a special ending to it. So,
hmm
my other question for you: do you believe in fate?
So I like to believe that the universe knows what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's easy to credit fate or curse fate for whatever's going on in your life because it takes away the responsibility from people and their actions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think like especially in really hard times in my own life, maybe I don't see it in that moment, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe a year later or down the road I'll be like, "Oh, so that had to happen so this could happen and now I'm in a better place."
Right.
And I think about I'm going to talk about my favorite episode, Night Call by
Yeah.
Richard Matheson.
Oh, yes.
And I think Rod Serling says in that episode, like, man can create their own personal or private hell. And she's lying in the bed of her making. And it's another really sad ending.
Yeah.
But that's an episode where, like, fate doesn't work out well. Like,
No.
it's like not fate, it's your actions and your inactions that matter.
Mhm.
But I do, maybe I'm just trying to put a band-aid on tough times, but I'll be like, oh, that's fate, and maybe I'll
Mhm.
see a reason for it later on, and sometimes you don't. But
Right.
it's a nice, it's a harmless thing to believe in.
Mhm.
Pretty
Yeah.
harmless.
I mean, I think if you don't, as long as you don't put all your eggs in that basket,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it's sort of, it's a thing, and where it's all about us and sort of what we manifest, whether
Right.
good or bad,
Right.
that's how I feel. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I believe in the universe. I believe in good, giving good out into the universe and getting good in return. I
Yeah.
believe that. I'm not a super religious person. I
Yeah.
grew up Catholic, but I don't practice. But I also, and I respect everybody else for whatever they believe. But for me personally, I feel like karma's real. I feel like karma's a real thing as
Yeah.
far as to a degree. I think that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that deserve karma don't get it.
Exactly.
Or maybe they do in their own way. It's
Right.
not obvious. I think we all live, as he said, in our own personal hells that we
Yep.
create, and we never know what the other person feels or is going through
Yes.
or anything like
So
that.
true.
But I believe that whatever energy we put out, we take back in.
Yeah.
So that's like for me, that's kind of my thing. And
Yeah.
so,
It
yeah,
also makes living a little magical.
it does. I mean, because there are definitely times that things have happened in my life that I'm like, ooh, that was weird. Like, like where coincidences, I'll notice things that happen, like that,
Yes.
you're at a certain place at a certain time and something happens and you're like, oh my God. And you didn't mean for that to happen. You didn't try for that to happen, but it does. Like you said, like you think of something down the line and go, oh, that happened, then this happened, then that happened. And
Yeah,
yeah.
I often wonder, so many of my longstanding friends, I met on Twitter. They just started randomly following me. And I'm like, whoa, like what had to happen for this to happen? Because now
Hmm.
you're my friend for like 10 plus years and you're great. And, fate was working with us on that.
Right. Yeah, and that's the wonderful part about it. I think if you how much stock you put into it is
Hmm.
what's the most, like you got to make your own choices, but not always
Definitely.
believe that it's something else. Because like you said, it's an easy scapegoat for
Yeah.
bad, like especially for bad things. You could be like,
Yes.
oh, well, it's it's the universe's fault.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have a funny thing about the universe because I believe not only in that of what you give and what you get in return, but also I was I was working for an office a long time ago, and we were talking, and it was post after David Bowie and Prince had passed
Mm.
away, and this young woman worked with me, and she had made a playlist, and she had put Prince on it, and he had recently passed, and I said. And she said, "Oh, do you like Prince?" I said, "Of course I like Prince." I'm like, "Oh my God, I've got a pulse and a heartbeat. Of course, I love David Bowie." And she said, "Oh, I was so sad, that he had passed." And I said, "Me too." And I said, "But the way I feel it said is that the universe felt like we had them long enough, like we had
Yeah.
Prince and we had David, and the universe said, 'I'm taking these two magical creatures back.'"
Yep.
And she like, and she was a very religious person, and she's like, "What a wonderful way to look at it." And I'm like, "I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's heaven or anything. I'm saying it's literally just the universe goes, here's something special, and you could only have it for so long." You know
Yes.
what I mean?
And
Like,
that's what
and
makes it special.
right, exactly. As sad as we were to lose them, it's sort of like I think that was the way it was, is that it was
Right.
just sort of you get certain things for a certain amount of time, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
like that.
that's my way I think of
Yeah.
it doesn't make it any less sad, but it's sort of like we're only allowed a certain amount. All of us are only allowed a certain amount of time, and
Right.
that's
Right.
I think that's a healthy way to think about it.
Yes.
Like, yeah. All right, cool. That's such a great conversation about fate. I love it. All right. So Pete Grant comes to the bar and challenges Denton. Denton drinks the potion, but as he does, Grant drinks the potion as well. The two shoot the guns out of each other's hands, each sustaining an injury that will never allow them to shoot again. Denton tells him that they have been blessed. Denton walks out of the bar to see Henry J. Fate getting on his wagon and leaving town. What do you think of the ending of the episode? What do you think of them both taking the potion? I mean, you mentioned it a little earlier too, but like, what do you think of that whole ending?
I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, that he also had the potion.
I know.
And it was like, because you never see Fate talking to that character unless maybe it's in the background and I didn't notice.
It wasn't him in that. It wasn't Peter
Okay.
because he wasn't in. I don't know if
He
he
wasn't
might
in
I think he'd
town
been
yet,
challenged.
right?
Yeah, he'd been challenged, I believe, but he hadn't like gotten to
Right.
town
So
because
I
the
was just like, oh my gosh, like this is like twist upon twist.
right.
And yeah, I thought it's really cool that Denton realized in the moment that this is really special. Like
Hmm.
we both can't fire in anger again.
Yeah.
And like to realize that is really important, and to know that like Grant can't do that either. I think he probably slept well that night.
Denton, you think that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think he sort of thought like, well, here I am now, and I also love, and I didn't put in the notes, but like the what the doctor says to him, which is basically like, you have a story to tell your grandchildren, and you'll live to have them now.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
like, oh my
oh,
God, I know, and you're like,
like,
oh my
yes.
goodness, yeah. Like he gets this whole other life now
Right.
afterwards.
And
Yeah.
I like that. Is it the outro that says like fate? That's the way fate can work in the Twilight Zone, and
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, for this episode, you want it to work out.
You do. You absolutely do. Like you're like I'm so happy for him. It made me think of too one of the things that makes me is that Death Becomes Her. I love that
Mm,
movie. It's a favorite movie of mine. And
yeah.
I always love that Ernest, Bruce Willis's character, like lives this life after he leaves Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn. He lives this whole life, and because we hear about it at his funeral that he lived like
Right.
another 50. He was 50 when he left, and then he lives another 50 years. He's almost 100, or he's in his late 90s or something. But he like
Yeah.
gets married again. He has a ton of children. He has grandchildren. He's like climbed mountains. He's got, charities and all this wonderful. And you're hearing about it going, oh my God, he lived this whole huge
Yeah.
life after this terribleness of drinking, same kind of thing, and then the craziness that happens with them.
Right.
And then he just lives this whole wonderful life afterwards. And I think
Yeah.
that, you know, That is a good second chance. That's where the second chances are like when you take advantage of that
Right.
time you're given afterwards. Yeah.
Sometimes those opportunities are presented and you don't take them.
No, I know. And it's funny. It's like, why do you think like we don't take advantage? Like more than like sometimes it's fear. I think it's a
Yeah.
fear.
For
It's
me,
fear.
it's fear. I've
Is
been
it?
presented with opportunities and I'm like, no, 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 I can't.
Yeah.
I'm too scared.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, is that maybe though that's the way that you're supposed to be and that other things will come. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if you're protecting your own peace and your own time, and I think we all should in our own, we all kind
Hmm.
of protect our own peace as well as we should.
Hmm.
And then we make decisions and say no, and maybe later we go, oh, maybe I should. But then you're like, well, I did, as you get older, it's like that's sort of the thing you go, oh well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't dwell on it because if you dwell on it, it's just gonna drive you nuts,
Like, they try to say live life with no regrets. I'm like, I've got too many regrets. Just keep going.
Yeah, it's like, but you like as I think like the regrets sort of, when we, oh God, because I'm the same way. I beat myself up about stuff I do and don't do all the
Yep.
time. I've always said to people, I'm like, if you're irritated with me about something I did, don't worry, because I beat myself up far worse about it than you ever could. Like
Yeah.
I will constantly replay what I say to
Oh,
people. I'll
yes.
I'll replay how and I the thing that I've learned as I've gotten older is that if I feel like my behavior or something I did was not right, no matter if the person seems hurt or not, it's sort of like I question how I was, and then I've apologized to people who literally look at me and go, "What are you talking about?" Like, and I'm like, "No, no, I didn't like the way I said that to you. It's just
Yeah.
me. I didn't like how that came out, or I didn't mean that way." And I do that a lot with my friends and stuff, where I just will say something and then I'll go, "I didn't like the way I said that. It sounded weird." It's one of those things that I think that's
Yeah.
just being very aware and like, but it's not going back and like beating your, then you can say to yourself, well, I'm not going to beat myself up about that because I've said my piece to somebody else who I
Right.
care about, and
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, I know.
I
Crazy. We had like so much wisdom as we get older, sort of,
hope
or we're,
so.
or we're more dumb as we get older too. And I mean, I'm sort of still kind of dumb, or you care less, I think, as you get older.
Yes, about
Yeah.
what other people think and
Oh
just
yeah.
I just like whatever makes me weird and strange, I'm just gonna lean into it.
Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, because here's the thing, like we've been lucky enough where we have this, we have family members and groups of friends who accept us for who we are. They
Yep.
accept us as the people we are for all of our fun quirks and the things about us. They accept us completely. So,
Hmm.
like that's the wonderful thing I think about, some family members we have and some friends. It's like for us personally, like we have a lot of cool friends who like love all kinds of different wonderful things and they just
Yes.
accept you coming into the group and loving whatever you love you
Yes.
know, and that's important, if you find your tribe of
Hmm.
people that love what you love and
Definitely.
yeah, and even if they don't love what you love, they accept that you love what you love and they don't
Yeah.
say you're wrong or you're, anything like that.
Hmm.
I try to do that. No matter what people like, I always try to do that. I always try to like
Yeah.
never go, oh, why do you like? I never say, oh,
Right.
why do you
No, let
like
people
that?
like what they like.
Yeah, I never. My cousin Kate calls it, "Don't yuck your yum. Don't yuck
I
someone's
love it.
yum." Yeah, she says like, "Don't yuck someone's yum," and say, "Ooh, why do you like that?" I'm like, no, I don't do that because I don't want
Yeah.
anyone doing it to me. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. All right. So my other question for you is, do you believe in blessings in disguise?
So, it's such sometimes blessings in disguise, why do they have to be in disguise,
Mm-hmm. No.
I think I had this conversation with my sister. She was like, "Why do they have to be in disguise?" And I was like, "You're right. Why can't they just be blessings? Why does it have to hurt so much, or why does it have
Right.
to be something bad?" I
Yeah.
think like I said, there are things that happen that are bad and sad that you go, "Oh, I see why this had to happen." Is it a blessing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Can a blessing just be a blessing? Why does it have to be in disguise?
Absolutely. I agree with you. It's true. It's like why does it have to be in disguise? And it doesn't I think people use the word blessing in such a way where it always has to be something good,
Right.
you know? Here's the thing, it doesn't have to be. It can be, if it improves you or helps you or does something that changes your thinking or your path,
Hmm.
doesn't have to be in disguise. It can be
Right.
exactly.
Just give me a blessing.
I think, and it's funny. I think Denton got, he got what he wanted in maybe, yes, he lost the use of his hand, but he sort of is like, well, I'm solid. Like, and he realized it in that moment of like,
Yeah, that's what the
yeah.
real gift is like realizing in that moment.
Because
Like,
he could have been
oh,
like,
this,
"Oh God, my hand forever," He could
right, right.
have, and he's not. He's like totally cool with the fact that this happened so
Yeah,
quickly. He turns it around like, "Oh my God." Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's what from the doctor. What the doctor says to him sort of clicks in his mind of like,
right,
this
right.
second chance is now presented to me, and
And
here
the
I am.
doctor realizes it, and everybody's
Hmm.
like, no, this is a good thing.
Yeah, this is a really good thing.
You just
Then it,
got shot, but it's good.
and also, like, this is another funny question I have for you. The way that news travels in this place, with like in this old West town, that they all find out, oh, well, yeah, now he's back. So go and, challenge him to
Yeah,
a duel. And,
like
it's
how
like
much time has passed?
not that long. He gets the shave, he's in the apartment. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, Peter Grant's coming to town. He's like, great. That's
Yeah,
great. Yeah, it's just
it was a real fast turnover.
like whoever saw it in that town was like, I mean, they probably all were like, oh, because like you said earlier, like they hate hodling, so they're probably like, oh, you can't believe what happened at the
Right.
bar. This is
It would be big
crazy.
news.
Yeah, they were like, and what else was the news in the little old West
I don't know. Was
town?
there like a town crier?
It must have been. There had to be because it's like
Like Denton's back.
it felt like it went by so fast. I mean, it could have been a day or two, but I doubt it highly. It seemed like it
Yeah.
was like that evening
Because
that
he
that.
would have left sooner, I think.
Oh yeah, he would have left town. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. He would have gone and and run away, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. All right, so the ending of the episode, the ending narration is Mr. Henry Fate, dealer in utensils and pots and pans, liniments and potions. A fanciful little man in a black frock coat who can help a man climbing out of a pit or another man from falling into one. Because you see, fate can work that way in the Twilight Zone. It's
I
so
love
good.
it. It's so good.
I think this is one of the most, and I mean, it's the third episode in the first season.
No.
It's insane, but it is so poignant
Yeah.
and well written and sweet. And, you like like you said, off right off the top, we like everybody immediately. We know who everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
We feel empathy. We don't like hodling.
Yeah.
Liz is our eyes. She's she's us. She's the audience. She's speaking for us and asking the questions we need to know. And there's just everybody is who they are in that episode, and I just think it's just one of the most poignant. It's way up there for me. It's like just a sweet, great episode all the way
Yeah,
around.
and I think that outro, I don't think I would have maybe realized upon a first viewing that like, oh, Grant could have easily been Denton and gone down that same path.
Hmm.
I think we were just like, oh, like hooray for Denton and other guy. Well, whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna do. But to
Yeah,
add that narration and add that like he didn't fall in the pit,
yeah,
it's
I know.
really poignant. It's really well done. So
Yeah.
good.
He helps like Denton climb out and Peter Grant from falling into the
Yeah.
same backstory.
Yeah.
I just that's what's so great about it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think. It's like you said earlier, two birds with one stone. That fate was like, well, we're gonna stop this train from happening, in the same
Yep.
direction as Denton's train.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Would you have any last thoughts on Mr. Denton on Doomsday before we wrap it up?
Yeah, it really surprised me. Usually, when I was kind of read the synopsis of what the episode was, I was like, oh, Western, like I don't know if I'm gonna connect with this episode. I don't like I didn't remember it. It's not one I remember watching as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I watched it and I was like, oh, there is no bad episode.
They really aren't.
Even if it doesn't like even if the setting is not perfect for me,
Yeah.
it got my heart.
Oh
And
yeah.
it
Yeah.
I felt really connected and engaged in it and it kept me
Yeah.
guessing and
Hmm.
um Yes.
I think and I agree with you. I'm not the biggest Western fan either. I'm also not a big war movie fan. I
No.
don't I'm not a big fan. I'll watch a war movie one time and then
Yeah.
I call it my one and done. I have a one
Yep.
and done group of movies. Like I'll watch one time and then I'm like I'm set.
Sure.
And Westerns are usually not one that I love, but it's so that story could have happened kind of anywhere, like
Exactly.
any setting. Like it could have happened in any type of setting, and I think it would have
Right.
worked no matter
It
what.
could have worked.
Yeah, it's
That's
just good
the
storytelling.
that's the good thing about good writing. It can work in anything.
1,000%. All right, Rachel. Well, it was so nice to have you on the episode. I'm so
Thank you
happy to
so
have
much.
had you on to talk about Mr. Denton on Doomsday. Thanks again. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Hallowed Groundling. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and rate wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to follow Hallowed Groundling on all social media. Links are in the show notes. Until next time, stay spooky.